Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Landscaping owner rips my friend off of $400, so my friend makes him incur $15,000 in expenses. Word of note, this is not me, but posted up here for a friend who currently resides overseas. A while back, my friend was selling some stuff online, and among the items was a water heater. You know, the ones you see in every community hall and church kitchen. It was in working condition, so he threw it up online for $150 and got an email from a person who runs a landscaping business saying he'll give him $100 cash today. Done. 2 weeks later, he got an email saying that it's not working. Weird. So my friend offered to give a full refund or cover repair costs if it's under $100. The guy instead sent an invoice for $400 saying the repairs were done, and if my friend doesn't pay it in 48 hours, he will send a debt collector after him. He paid it out of fear and emailed him the confirmation. The landscaping owner then emailed back saying, "This is a price you sometimes have to pay when selling second-hand electronics," followed by a "Have a great day. Do not let this hold you back," with a smiley face at the end of the email. A month later, my friend was in a bar and he overheard a girl talking about how her boss, who runs a landscaping firm, screwed over some dummy selling a water heater. And my friend said, "Oh heck, I gotta hear this. Do you mind if I join your table?" And the girl said sure, and she told the story. Her boss had brought a busted water heater from a secondhand store for $25 and a working one for $100 and billed the seller for the repair for the busted one before he sold it on for $300 to some community group. My friend asked who did this, so I didn't hire that guy to fix up my yard. Ha-has all around. She says the company name, and lo and behold, it's on the mail of the guy my friend sold a water heater to. He was a dummy in the story. He told me he was pretty angry about it, but COVID then hit, so he had other stuff to worry about. 18 months later, he was browsing the website he originally sold the water heater on, and he saw a bunch of landscaping materials. Shovels, gardening stuff, wheelbarrows, lights for working at night, drills, nail guns, some construction materials, and a generator. Now in my friend's location, apparently if you're selling a generator, then you need to have a warrant of fitness for it, proving that it works, it's safe, no flayed wires and so on. Most people ignore it, and he saw that this generator is being sold by the landscaping firm. This generator, he said, just by looking at it, there was no way in hell would it have a warrant of fitness. Word of note, failure for a business to provide a warrant of fitness upon request for a generator after 2 weeks, when reported to the official departments and enforced by the court, the punishment is a hefty fine, and the courts often force the seller to refund the affected party and pay any cost that they incurred. He talked to his flatmate, who agreed that they would go 50-50 on the generator, but he would transfer the money. Now, my friend had never met the landscaping firm owner face-to-face when selling the water heater. He left it outside and pickup was confirmed via his security camera. And when he got there, it was clear that the owner, this old grumpy-looking man who enjoyed yelling at his employees, had emptied out his storage unit. The owner was very much as it is, no refund. And the flatmate showed him the transfer confirmation, and they took the generator for $800, no warrant of fitness provided. They then took it to a friend of theirs who is an electrician, and he agreed to check it and give an invoice for repairs, and to quote the friend, "It will be cheaper to buy a new generator," and to be honest, this generator shouldn't have been sold. It should have been scrapped. They also found that the main identifier number had been scratched off, but not a second number that is often recorded as well on the warrant of fitness for tracking purposes. So they got in contact with the seller telling him the cost for repair, around $5,000. He promptly tells him that he's not paying, as it is no refund, to which they then ask, "Have you got the warrant of fitness for this generator?" And silence for 2 days. They followed up with another email asking for it. No response. They then ask again and get an email from him saying that he will take it back for $800. They said no, we want the warrant of fitness. And they get no response. They emailed him every day for 2 weeks. Nothing. So they printed out the original item listing that had been screenshotted and had been archived on the website and reported him to the website. And then the government. 4 months later, my friend was in court and the guy went up to him. He tells him that he will take back the generator for $800 and that my friend and his flatmate will be going in to tell the judge that the seller has refunded them and that they want it all dropped. And that's what's happening here. Full stop. End of story. They are doing what they are told to do. And my friend said no. So they went into the courtroom and it's over very quickly. The inspector the government sent out to inspect the generator stated that it was in poor condition, shouldn't have been sold, was highly unsafe, and that the seller had tried to get the generator a warrant of fitness in early 2021, but instead had been told that it was to be repaired or scrapped, and that it was not to be sold. They identified it by a second number on the generator that they took down in the original attempt to get a warrant of fitness, which had not been scratched out like the first one. The judge ordered the landscaping firm owner to refund the flatmate the $800, pay the $5,000 for repairs to the generator, and was ordered to pay $10,000 fine, which would have been given directly to my friend's flatmate as the affected party. When they left the courtroom, the owner was furious and told them that under no uncertain terms was he paying them a penny more, and that he couldn't understand what he had done to deserve such treatment. To which my friend said, "Remember the water heater?" He gave him a very confused look. "Remember the water heater you brought for $100? Well, I do, because I sold it to you. And I know that you had a different one repaired and invoiced me for it." His jaw was on the floor and, to hit it home, he said, "It's a pain, isn't it? When what goes around comes around, especially when it accumulates interest. You have 48 hours to pay or a debt collector will be contacted. Remember, this is a price you sometimes have to pay when selling second-hand electronics. Have a great day. Do not let this hold you back." And they left. He paid the $15,000 2 days later. My friend and the flatmate split the $10,000 50-50 as a agreed combination of rent payments and study stuff. The generator they got repaired, and then got a warrant of fitness for it before selling it for $1,000 with a newly replaced identifier number. They then went out for a wonderful dinner and nights out in town. Next story. Please learn the rules of gun range before going to one. This happened last week, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around it still. Firstly, I love guns. Nearly everything about them. The sound, the recoil, the fireball. What I don't like is when an idiot is given one. When idiots have guns, people get killed. So when I saw an entitled parent and her 9-year-old son at a gun range, I was initially happy that this kid was being taught at a young age. I go to my bay right next to the entitled parent and son, who was actually quite nice, when I see the entitled parent's handgun pointed at me. So I jump out of the way of the barrel. And I tell her to keep it downrange. She scoffs at me, pulls a not loaded nonsense, to which I reply that I do not care, always treat it like it's loaded. I had 2 guns with me, my Springfield XD40 subcompact handgun and my AR-15. Now continuing my story. The kid goes up to shoot, he starts firing, and when he's done, he sets the gun down so that it points at me. Being a kid and probably new, I tell him to always keep it downrange. For safety. He acknowledged this and points the gun back. That's when I feel a firm smack to the back of my head.
Don't talk to my son like that.
I'm trying to teach him gun safety. If anybody gets shot at one of these ranges, the place can get shot down.
Don't talk back to me.
She moves to hit me again, to which I hover my hand over my XD40, which was resting on the table. That sends her enough signal to back off. When she goes up to shoot, she pulls the trigger, to which nothing happens. She points the gun at me again, to which this time I yell at her to keep it downrange, and she decides to ignore me. Ma'am, if the gun misfires, keep it downrange because it may have had a delayed firing.
Shut up, jerk.
I go back to shooting my handgun, to which I see once again the gun pointed at me. The worst part? She was fiddling with the trigger. To those who don't know, the rule is that you can point your gun at somebody if you feel they genuinely jeopardize your life. I wasn't quite there yet, so I called over range safety. Range safety told her off, and she listened, until she did the same thing again. Now I point my gun at her.
What are you doing?
Keep your gun downrange. Range safety comes over to calm me down, and he takes the gun from the entitled parent. Then she tries to throttle range safety, so I take the gun from him and field strip it. This is simply in case of emergency. I noticed the safety was on, but the gun was fully loaded, so I point my gun at her and tell her to get on her knees with her hands behind her head.
I'll sue you for this nonsense.
I say to the little kid, never say anything you have heard today, until you're older. And back to the entitled parent. Go ahead. I'll just show that camera footage. Range safety calls the cops, and when they arrive, I field strip post my guns. I got cuffed, asked a few questions, and then released to put my guns in their cases. The entitled parent is screaming bloody murder as she's taken away, and the kid is just crying. So then I go to the kid and try to calm him down. The entitled parent then screams that I'm trying to kidnap her son. I just backed away, and the kid has calmed down, and I just put my hands up. Cops close the car door, and then they get contacts for the kid's dad. Last I heard, she's getting community service hours. Next story. Do not accept cash? We will see about that. This happened about 2 hours ago. We drove over an hour to an outlet mall to get my son some new shoes for school. We went into a brand name shoe shop and picked out a suitable pair. We often buy from this shop, and the wife has a loyalty card there. Went to pay for shoes with half on card and half cash. No go. Not accepting cash for payment. Now I know this is only legal in our country if they advise shoppers in advance, and I have seen no signs advising of a no cash policy. Manager leans over from the next register and advises the sign is at the door. I walk to the entrance and there is a sign. It's ankle height and about 2 inches high. Due to COVID, no cash accepted. So I went back to the counter and advised I felt their sign was too small and not easily visible. The manager in a snotty voice said something along the lines of,
"It meets our legal obligations."
So I questioned their lay-by policy. No deposit or fees and up to 4 weeks to pay. Okay, we will pay a deposit on the card, leaving the amount in cash we had as remainder. Cashier put the payment through and logged into the loyalty card. Then I asked to pay off lay-by with the cash.
Sorry, as I said, we cannot accept cash.
Sorry, but it's illegal for you to not accept cash to pay off a debt. Checkmate, jerk. Manager looks at me, smiles, and advises the staff to accept the payment. Walked out with the shoes, all paid up. Checked other shops on the way out, didn't see any other not accepting cash. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.